I am keen for this video to visit on the topic on basics or Kihon.
Kihon, yes.
Yeah.
It's all bread butter of karate.
Our styles or our way of doing karate is different, and I think the basis or the fundamental of that is that our basics are different, are performed differently also.
I think there are similarities, just the way it's executed differently, trained differently.
Yeah, for sure.
The idea, I think it's pretty much similar.
And I reckon also sometimes there are certain techniques that look the same, but we call it by different names. Yeah. Sometimes we see a certain movement in basic training, and we are keen to think that, oh, if it looks like a block, it must be a block. Little do people know that sometimes when we practice basics that resemble like a block, for instance, the application at the end of the day need not necessarily be a block. Okay, basic practice, as I understand it, is a practice of body mechanics, first of all. Okay, and how you use it is really up to you.
Right. No matter what level of belt you are, right, we'll be doing Kihon, same Kihon. So I think karate is a very unique martial arts, as any beginner can jump into any class because everybody will be doing Kihon. Yeah, definitely be doing Kihon. Right? Yeah, so especially in that sense.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I like about karate training also is that it's predictable in a way that there is always a set structure to a class. It's quite easy to follow, and regardless which classes you jump into, we always start with basics.
Right.
Yeah, the ABCs of how to punch, how to kick, how to move, basically. Let's explore Kihon in 3 categories. One is through the punches or striking with the hands or the arms. 2 is through the blocking or the receiving techniques, or what's commonly known as blocks.
Right.
Okay. Or in Japanese we call it the uke, right? And 3 probably the kicking techniques.
Leg techniques.
Yeah. So pretty much, let's focus on Kihon, stationary Kihon, okay, which on the spot.
Right.
Let's go into the punches or techniques one by one and see what stances we stand in and how we perform those individual basics.
Right. So
maybe let's start with the simplest one, which is the straight punch.
Okay. The straight punch. Okay.
Scope. Okay, ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and relax.
Open up the stance in Heikodachi, and we'll raise one hand in front here. So there's also difference in the height of the hikite. We call it hikite, the pulling hand, right? So for Shitori style, it's more relaxed at the bottom. But if you go to Gozuryu, the fist is actually at the nipple side. It's quite high.
Okay.
Right, so it's just a different style. We will imagine a target in the middle. So at any point in time, we want to replace the fist with the next one coming. Right, from here, replace and go.
I see. Okay.
Right. And then sometimes we'll open up to practice a more relaxed one. See, actually, it's more powerful.
I see. Okay.
Occasionally, we'll go into, there's no kibarashi in Shitoryu, right? More like there is, but we don't practice it much. Right. More commonly done in Shikodashi.
I see.
With the same reason.
Yep.
Right. This one is more relaxed, so you are able to use your hips more. For this one.
I see. Okay. So Shikodachi, if you're not familiar with the term, Shikodachi is typically the stances that sumo wrestlers would take.
Basically, it's just a kibadachi, but you open up.
Yeah.
Your feet.
I don't know if other modern karate styles do what I do also. The straight punch like that, we practice it in Sanchin stance. Okay, so typically we will go into Sanchin stance over here. Okay, you cross your forearms and then you pull back your fists over here. Handra has the fist at the hip or waist. Above the belt. Okay, yeah, so it's about your waist level.
Yeah.
So in our practice, we have it at the ribs or the nipple line. Yeah. Okay, so the part where I want to ask you is that for us, the reason why we cross our forearms like this first is because we want to determine the trajectory of the punch. So when we punch at a slight diagonal.
Okay, so not right in the middle.
Not right in the middle. Yeah, not right in the middle, and definitely not in front of your shoulder.
Yeah,
yes. It's slightly off center.
I see.
Here.
But do you have any explanation? What's the reasoning behind that?
The rationale is basically that if you want to punch somebody's head, for instance, you typically don't punch, you punch past the center. Yeah. So I'm not saying that it's like on the extreme diagonal.
Right, just like
just like
1-2 degrees off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it different in
different
terms
because
of aiming?
for I think all the traditional styles will focus on the center line of the body. So when you attack, even if you block, you attack along this line, right? When you kick along this line as well. When you block, you'll be focusing on the point of contact as this one, in the center line. Urakan?
Okay, so I've got this one also. Go. Okay, so mine is here. Okay, 4 counts ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I knocked there. What do you call it first?
Urakan.
Uraken. So
Uraken is the short form. Uraken Uchi is a real one.
Uraken Uchi. So
Uraken is just the back face. Uchi is a strike, right? Back face strike.
Yep.
Yeah. When we fight somebody, it's frontal.
Yep.
So we don't actually do it. So I know some style I've seen, they practice it sideways. I can understand because if you're standing side by side with somebody, right, you can strike to his solar plexus or even his liver this way. It will work perfectly. Right. But for us, we don't practice that way. From here, and when we want to strike, it's either hand. From here, 1, or the backhand, 2.
Yeah. Okay.
This way.
Okay. So in my case, we do both. The frontal back fist technique, we call it Uraken Gamenuchi. So Uraken, like what Hendra mentioned, is back fist. So gunmen is the face, Uchi is to strike. So specifically, it's to use the back fist to strike somebody's face.
Very specific wordings, even the target is mentioned.
So specific. So in Hendra's case, I realized that it takes a bit of a roundabout angle. So from here, you hit typically to the side.
Right.
Yeah. For our practice, it's more direct. So from here, you're looking to hit maybe the person's nose. So you hit 1 and hit 2. To be honest, in sparring situations, I've not seen it used too often. Although I recognize that the training is more having to do with the body mechanics. Specifically, when we take up this position, right, common mistake is people will just extend the arm like that. When you just extend the arm, okay, you realize that your range is shorter as compared to if you move your body forward. Okay, so the first point of the practice is to turn your body in order to achieve maximum hitting. And number 2 is about the elbow drive. So the reason why you don't do it with an open elbow is because if you hit it like this, I think structurally you're not as strong as compared to you connect your hip movement to your elbow movement, and then you hit here. And I realize it's the same idea for you also. Even though you hit in a roundabout fashion, you keep your elbows in to hit.
Yeah, it's just to maintain the connectivity to the body.
Yeah.
Right? If you lift your elbow too much, there's not much of body momentum thrown behind the punch.
Yeah. And to extrapolate the application of this technique, right? So if we take out a fighting stance, so if we do in formal basics, it's straight away like this. But I think if you're in fighting stance, the same movement can go to taking down the guard in order to open for an attack.
This movement, right?
As well, yeah. It's a movement that doesn't require a lot of big shoulder movements, but a lot of the body turn.
And it's the same range of motion, right?
Correct, yeah.
Same application. That's interesting. It reminds me of, we don't practice this in our Kihon, but the kata, we do it. Right? I mean, Shitoryu is very heavily based on kata, so our Kihon is usually maybe about half an hour of the class. But the kata is full hour. So usually that's how the structure is like. So when I did that, that reminds me of our Pinan Yondan. And then the fourth kata, because it goes like that. Here, catch down and so it goes straight to the face, exactly like yours.
Okay.
Yes, another one, Uraken Zuki.
Uraken Zuki.
So occasionally we'll do this kind of practice in either Heikodachi or Shizente Dachi, Hachichi Dachi.
I've got that one also.
This way. Sure.
Alright, so let's do it together.
You do it in Sanchin Dachi, right?
No, we do it in horse riding stance.
Horse riding stance. Okay.
So I think you start aside a bit.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll take our positions. Okay. Already. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now this is interesting because the mechanics of a straight punch.
Yep.
Right? It starts from the hip, right? Then you move, and it turns into a straight normal punch, right?
Okay.
So if you break it down, there are two punches here.
Yep.
First one is a Rakenzuki.
Oh, okay.
Then after that, it turns into a Sekenzuki.
Ah.
So that's the mechanics of our traditional karate punch, right? So there are actually two punches here. So sometimes this is for medium to long distance.
I see.
For short distance, we use this one.
Okay. We call this technique shita ski. So shita means the bottom in terms of direction. Ski means to strike in a linear manner lah. From here, the idea is to keep your forearms at the center so that when you turn the other side of the body, it drives the elbow and eventually the fist to the center. So from here, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
I see.
So that's how we perform it.
I think it's quite similar.
Okay.
Quite similar because from here we are actually not driving it parallel. It's 5 degrees off. This way.
So it's slightly higher.
Slightly driving upwards slightly.
Ah, okay. All right.
Because the target is actually either the solar plexus or the liver or the floating ribs.
Yep. Okay. So the point of impact is still the
first two knuckles.
the first two knuckles, and
Still the same.
it's similar to a boxing uppercut,
Ah, yes.
I would say. Yeah, but it's
Not
not
so
as
much like an uppercut.
highly
Maybe like
angled
a
lah.
what do you call it? A hook.
Okay.
What do you call it? A shovel hook, right? Popular.
Maybe.
By Gen Z. I think it's shovel hook.
I call everything that goes to the body a body punch. Yeah,
I'm not a boxer, so I think I heard of that from I read from some comics.
I see.
Shovel hook.
Shovel hook.
Yeah.
If you know what's the actual term that is used in boxing,
Drop us a comment.
drop us a comment. Teach us something about boxing.
Semi-roundhouse punch. This one is rarely practiced, right? Because I mean, nowadays karate is mainly used for competition.
Yeah.
So only straight punches are allowed. The only one that is forming circular motion is Uraken.
Okay.
So Furizuki.
I've got something similar also.
Alright.
So we'll do it together.
Okay.
All right, so we'll take out the stances, like my tape. Okay. Yep, so this is my starting position. I already itch, lead, san, shi, itch, lead, san, shi. Line out there. Os.
So I realized yours look a lot like Ageuke for us.
Yeah.
Except the final position, right? We go straight and up, but this one goes this way. So the final position looks like our upper block.
The striking application is two possibilities. If let's say the opponent is at about middle range to you, you use the first knuckle to hit to the side of the head or the temple. But if let's say you're in a grappling situation, he's a lot closer, you use the back of the fist to hit the back of the head. So that's why it goes towards the forehead.
That's interesting.
That's in terms of striking applications. When we perform throwing, the roundabout fashion, the way you wind your body in, is the same body mechanics we use to throw somebody down as well.
Hook under the armpit or
That's correct.
similar like that?
Yeah. All right. And I take in order to throw somebody down.
It's a swinging motion. Mine doesn't go out always like that.
So wide.
So let's say for example, I put on a fighting stance, right? Let's say you're fighting somebody whose hand is very high here. So traditional karate punches won't work. The guy just block. So it's going to go from here and goes in.
I see.
So you look like a straight punch, right? But with the twist of the hip, it goes to the temple this way.
I see.
Okay. So it's an over twisting. There's an over twisting of the forearm.
I see.
I would call it a sneaky punch.
Okay. Sneaky punch. I don't know why it's not as popular in the karate training. I think it's super useful. Not everything can come in straight, right? So that roundabout fashion gives you a bit of variation to get the target.
Right.
Okay. So practice it, guys.